What's up YouTube, Capital G here, looking at a brand new piece of support for counter fairies. This is coming out of the fairy structure deck. This is a Power Angel Valkyria, and this card is actually really excellent. I'm not even giving you guys hyperbole. Like, this is going to be a straight up staple coming to counter fairies very soon in the TCG once we get this new structure deck. So she is light, level 4, 1800 attack, 1050 defense. The defense is a little weird, but that's really not much of an issue. The effect of this card is the entire reason to play it. I think it is so freaking good, and honestly, it's a godsend to counter fairies because it's so overdue. You can only use this card's name effect once per turn, so it is that hard once per turn, no matter how many copies you have. The effect is if you negate the activation of a monster effect, spell, or trap card, you can add one light fairy monster from your deck to your hand. This is so freaking big, and the first thing that I thought of, guys, is thank goodness we finally have a way of consistently getting to Bountiful Artemis. I cannot tell you guys how many years I have just messed around with counter fairies and thought, why can't we just have Bountiful Artemis turn 1? Why can't there just be a card to search it, man? I've seen people play Gold Sarcophagus. You know, people obviously play Card of Demise and Pot of Desires. We have new generic draw support, but even with those cards, it's still kind of a crapshoot. Everyone knows that the central goal for counter fairies is to get Bountiful Artemis on the field as quickly as possible, because that's kind of like your win condition. It's the card that makes it so you never run out of cards, and it's the card that lets you kind of turbo through your deck and out resource your opponent. And the thing about counter fairies is there's never been a question of, do we have enough good counter traps in the game to support them? Because let's be real, we've always had Solemns in the game. Every single era of Yu-Gi-Oh gives us pretty much like a new great Solemn, Solemn Warning, Solemn Judgment, Solemn Strike, and I mean Dirt Bribe goes all the way to GX. So we've always had great counter traps. The problem is, you know, if you don't get the Bountiful Artemis turn 1, a lot of times you end up running out of cards, and this is just a great way to search Bountiful Artemis. And you also can search another copy of itself. You can also search Honest. I don't know if people will search Honest, because from what I've seen, the best versions of counter fairies these days is probably Demise versions, and Demise and Honest really don't play well together. But I think that this card is all around just amazing. I think that this is an absolute staple for counter fairies, and realistically, you know, I haven't put the deck on paper or anything, but I'd probably say that this is a 3 of, because I think that, like, going forward, what would you want over Valkyria and Bountiful Artemis turn 1? Like, those should be the cards you want turn 1, because either you have the Artemis or you search the Artemis and you just kind of go from there. Because getting Artemis on the field, as long as that thing doesn't get interrupted with maybe like a torrential tribute or something like a solemn warning, you generally will win the game within a couple of turns, because you're just going to draw so many cards and out resource your opponent. So I think this card's fantastic. Excellent stats on it. I think that it's a 3 of, maybe 2 at the least, but you're definitely going to run this card, because I think that it's very similar to Bountiful Artemis. I think that if you have this turn 1 on the field, you have a very big smile on your face, very similar to like barrier statues. If you open up with any of your statues, or if you open up with Fossil Dino, you feel really good about your position. Being able to plus instantly get your Bountiful Artemis or another copy of itself, or an Honest if you're gonna run that card, I just think makes you feel so much more secure, especially if you happen to get Regeki'd after that. It's like, I don't even care, bro, I already got my Bountiful Artemis. You better kill me this turn, otherwise you're not gonna kill me, and I'm gonna snowball this game out of control. So what do you guys think? I think Valkyria is excellent, and I think that it's definitely going to see a lot of competitive play. Whatever you guys think, leave it in the comment section below. I'm very excited about this counter fairy support. I want a new with all due respect though, Konami, I want a new counter trap, because these cards obviously are really good and they're putting a heavy emphasis on counter traps and negating effects. But yeah, I'd like to see a new counter trap. Maybe something, I don't know, maybe actually it'd be kind of cool if there was a counter trap that you could activate from your hand if you controlled like a light fairy. That would be so dope. Oh my god, make that a card, Konami. Anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already. Okay, last thing, I know I'm going to sound kind of stupid for not bringing this up, but I got to talk about this, guys. Ty's Other Brethren is going to potentially be very freaking legit in counter fairies. Now, I don't know how I didn't think about this earlier, but as soon as I did, I fired up the laptop. I was like, yo, I got to add this to the video, because it's actually too good not to talk about, and it gives counter fairies some very explosive turn 1s. Think about this, right? Let's say you open up with Power Valkyria, and instead of searching out a copy of freaking Bountiful Artemis just off of the effect, why not just special Bountiful Artemis straight from your deck onto the field? Or you can do the same thing just in reverse. If you open with Bountiful Artemis, you can just summon a Power Valkyria. Hell, you can even do the same thing with a single copy of Honest, because all of these guys are level 4. They're all fairy. If you get an Honest, you can bounce it to your hand, and then if you activate a counter trap, since you have Valkyria and Artemis on the field, you get another copy of Honest, and then you draw a card in. I mean, at that point, how are you going to lose the duel? Your opponent can basically never attack you because you have 2 Honest in your hand, plus you got an additional card. Like, that is so much advantage turn 1, and damn, man, that's a lot of crazy plays right there. Honestly, I think that might be the way to go, but some people might say that it conflicts a little too much with Card of Demise and Pot of Duality, because obviously you can't special summon during those turns, but it's just food for thought. Like, Ties of the Brethren is just another potential for the deck to open up a lot more consistently than it did before, and that's what I think the theme of Power Valkyria is. It gives the deck more consistency in the early game. It doesn't have to struggle to get to that turn 1 Bountiful Artemis. And by the way, speaking of Ties of the Brethren, between Magic Bullets and new Counter Fairies, guys, I don't know, man. The card's like $10, but I could easily see it doubling, or maybe even, well, I don't want to say tripling in price. That's like knock on wood, man. That's like jinxing it. But I could definitely see Ties of the Brethren jumping up in price. So I think I might have to pick mine up. But just something else that I wanted to talk about, because yeah, Ties of the Brethren and Counter Fairies can definitely be a thing now, because there are so many good level 4 light fairies now. This video has been brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audible.com/MegaCapitalG. Over 180,000 titles to choose from on your mobile device. I'm listening to the amazing I Can't Make This Up by Kevin Hart. Link in the description.